The following podcast is part of the MindBodySpirit.fm podcast network.
Baseball is back, and the first pitch is on Netflix. The New York Yankees, led by seven-time All-Star Aaron Judge, head to the San Francisco Bay to take on Rafael Devers' San Francisco Giants. This season kicks off with one exclusive opening night game. Watch MLB Opening Night, the New York Yankees versus the San Francisco Giants, live on Netflix. Wednesday, March 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Your favorite local grocery stores like Kroger, Ralph's, Fred Meyer, and more are now delivering on Uber Eats. Get 40% off your order of fresh, quality ingredients. Whether you just got home to an empty fridge or suddenly got a craving to whip up something new, you can get everything you need delivered in as little as 25 minutes. Get 40% off your order with code Kroger2026. Plus, members get $0 delivery fees. Order now on Uber Eats. Orders of $30 or more save up to $25. Ends 4/30/26. See app for details.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. Today, I am joined with spiritual medium, meditation teacher, and best-selling author Beth Lynch. Lynch is the founder of Inner Light Teachings and is a heart, mind, body, and spiritual educator. She has spent over 30 years helping families understand and heal from grief. Through her own personal experiences since childhood and the death of her parents and search for her own healing and higher understanding, she has come to realize that her sensitivity has always been a strength. Beth was not always a medium, but she's here today to share her story about how she was guided to this brand new way of life. She is also a graduate of Delphi University Spiritual Studies. She's attended Arthur Ford's School of Mediumship and Metaphysics, and she's been certified under Mark Ireland's, who's a very well-respected medium. Today, Beth is here to discuss the missing link in our lives, spirituality, the big elephant in the room. We get into deep discussion about this. She shares her personal journey toward mediumship and a life with spirit. I hope you enjoy our chat and everything that Beth has to offer. You can visit her website at innerlightteaching.com. I will link it in the show notes. She has many wonderful services available for you, readings and channeling services, as well as meditation courses and other classes available to you. Please check her out. She's a delight. I hope you sit back and enjoy this conversation, and I will be back with you next week to share a brand new episode about spiritual groupthink. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode. Today, I am thrilled to be sitting here with Beth Lynch. Beth, thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So you are a medium, which I always love to chat with mediums, and you're a meditation teacher. You're the founder of Inner Light Teachings, and I'm dying to talk to you today because you want to talk about how spirituality is missing, literally missing, everybody. I talk about this a lot in everything we do, and you also have a perspective that it's missing in the species in general. So before we dive into this great topic, Beth, I would love to give you the floor to share your personal journey of how you became a spiritual medium and what you do today as a meditation teacher and all the courses you offer. So have at it. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, the story, fast back, as a child, oversensitive, over emotional, all those things, felt things. Had my little conversations with whoever would listen, didn't understand it. And then, I fast forward through always feeling very like I knew things before they were going to happen, but I totally did not understand why. And I was, went to Catholic school for 12 years. So I was really scared to ever say that I feel I can see, my own divine figures, And so anyway, that was that. But then my mom the what really kicked it off, and it was interesting, I always felt I was going to die at 32. I literally lived my 20s like I had this deep rooted feeling I would die at 32. So I was 32 years old, and now I'm having a dream that I'm hearing over an intercom system that my mother died. And in my dream, I got very upset and cried, and and I woke up. It was 3:15 a.m. Went back to sleep somehow, and woke up again early in the morning because I had my little nephew. I was bringing him to pre-K that day, and I turned on the car radio. It was like 7 a.m. and it was on the news. The Amtrak crashed in the middle of the night, and my
Oh,
mom was on the I know I get emotional right now,
oh
but
no.
so that made me go, oh my God, my dream. So now you have to go through the physical world red tape like everybody else. I call my sister, I go to her house, we're making phone calls, and I heard my mom's voice say, Mary Beth, I'm all right. I'm happy. And I was in the car when that happened. And I remember going, like, where was that? Where
Right.
did that come from? And so that made me have a very sinking feeling. She was not okay. We didn't really know anything at 7:15 a.m. They were just getting to the scene because there were no roads and all that stuff. But it was in the bayou. But fast forward to being mad at God, asking all the questions grief bring, why are they okay? All those things. And like many people. And a year later, we went to a medium, and she looked at me when we sat down. Oh, yeah, your mother's in spirit. You're not using your gifts and abilities, young lady. You're going to do what I do someday. And I'm looking at her thinking, this bitch is crazy. Okay. I mean, literally in my mind. But then it was like, it became real. It was like, she will guide you to your books and teachers. You must choose this path if that's up to you. And I'm like, I didn't get it. I did not get it. I was a hairdresser. I was booked 3 months out. Leave me alone. I'm good at what I do. I mean, really, these things are downloading into you're thinking things like, how can I can't do that. But I left that session. Me and my sister both left that session knowing our mom's presence was in that room. There was
Wow.
the things that were said. And
Can
so
I
we
ask a
leave.
question real quick, Beth?
Yeah,
Sorry to interject you, but how long after your mom had passed did you go to a medium? Was this
a
fairly soon?
year.
Okay, so a year has
It
passed.
was a year.
And then had you had any insight that you were like you had the dream obviously that told you this and all the
Hmm.
things that as you were a child, but was there anything between when your mom passed and the year that were, pointing you that you were definitely communicating with the other side?
Probably not where I understood that could be what it is,
Yeah,
because I didn't understand the communication itself, and I didn't understand how it was possible. I had more traditional form, foundation, and I was comfortable in that foundation because I do say I always felt a presence with Jesus. I would feel conversations. That was natural for me. I know a lot of people don't understand that or think, wow. But he came to teach us eternal life. He came to teach us healing. He came to teach us forgiveness. He came to teach us love,
right.
So that is another area, right, we could get into.
Yeah.
But and when a week later after that session, I went to a crystal shop. I was looking at some books, and I saw a flyer for tarot classes with this lady, Elizabeth Schumann. Hi, Elizabeth, talking about you. Little buzz goes up to those when we're
Oh.
thinking about them, by the way. And and she I was drawn to tarot even though I didn't understand it, but I went and took classes with her. But right when I came to her house, walked in, books to the ceiling, classical music playing, tarot cards on the table, and she said, I bet you didn't know tarot was a spiritual tool. And I said, no, I actually was like, am I doing, is this okay?
Yeah.
And she was, oh no, dear, it's all how you read it. Don't you worry. And I mentored with her for 2 years. Little did I know, learning symbolisms, learning about chakras and color vibrations and energy. What she introduced me to was stimulating my third eye, our sixth sense, the sense above all five, the eye that sees beyond the physical. I didn't understand those terms then, but that's what was happening. And I treated the cards with great reverence. And so I was getting messages. And that's where it started to turn, where then I started wanting to read for my friends. And then I'm reading for their friends. And now I'm like creating this little practice on the side of my hair foiling, you know? And little did I know,
Yeah. It seems to hit hairdressers. I have people that have
a
done
lot
my,
of
yes.
us.
I'm like, I know people that cut my hair and they have these things. They're very in
I used to
tune
have
and
clients say that, you know, I don't just come for my hair. I love your intuitive guidance. And I'd be going, yeah, but why don't I take it myself? You know, I
I
mean,
know.
it's kind of part of the journey, learning to accept your intuitive messages for yourself, you know, but you can do it for others easy. I hear a lot of people say that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it broke free there. I was reading somebody's cards once, and this lady I didn't know, and I see this little peripheral vision, which, let me say why I'm speaking peripheral vision. It's a very powerful place where your own stuff will start. Because if it comes in front of you, you'd probably fall over. But when the peripheral starts, you got a little emotional catch-up time. I think it's what I feel to how to explain that. And all of a sudden, I see this little thing coming like this, and I'm reading her cards, and I hear, "Tell her David's here." And I go, "David's here." She screamed. I jumped, and I go, she goes, "That's my dead brother." She goes, "I didn't know you did that." I go, "Neither did I."
Neither
You
did
know,
I.
but I truly surrendered that. I mean, I'm, you know, I have strong faith. I believe in God, call it what you want, higher power, superpower, whatever. But I said that night, if that's what I'm supposed to do, I surrender. I literally kept it that simple. And man, every session after that. And eventually I didn't even use the cards. Now I don't use the card unless people ask, because I do love to teach tarot and stuff. But you know, it's been 30 years now. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, you mentioned that you don't need to use the cards now. Can we talk about the cards for a second?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I personally haven't really used cards much, but I have lots of friends who do it, and occasionally I've done it. But you said something interesting in the beginning, which was the symbolism that they provide. Now, a lot of people are always like, oh, that's woo woo and it doesn't mean anything. But isn't this whole world one big symbol? I mean, isn't everything we're doing a symbol? So why would that be any different if it provides insight for somebody else?
It's exactly, you know, it's allowing that higher vision to be stronger. You build a trust with it. There's metaphors, symbolisms. That's the language of the soul. That's the spiritual language. And that's part of, you know, what's missing with people, understanding the language that's really the most natural language between us, whether we're talking music, art, you know, that's all in that vibration. Energy, well, Mr. Tesla, energy, vibration, frequency reveals the secrets of the universe. Need we say more?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that quote, which probably now is 20, 30 years ago. I cried and I went, why is, I get it. I feel that.
Well, and you mentioned that you feel that. I'm somebody like that too, who literally feels vibration and energy. And people are, if you say that to somebody, especially people that aren't, have no idea, right?
Mhm.
They kind of look at you like deer in a headlights, like, what? But they
Mhm.
believe that their phone works and all the Wi Fi signals and all the communications that you can't see are real. But it
You
always just
said it.
blows
You
my
said it.
mind.
That's perfect. And I laugh in a channeling sometimes if we have, like, because I do a lot of Zoom sessions and the, oh, the internet, what if it goes down? How does that work? I go, well, first of all, they don't need Wi-Fi, so don't you worry about them.
I
We're
know.
going to go up to their frequency. They're coming down a little frequencies. We're going to be fine. Now, if it's technical on our computer thing, then we just take a breath, re-sign in. You'll be fine. They ain't going anywhere. They're giggling at us at how primitive we are. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because to me, like we're talking symbolism, even you and I here on the Wi-Fi signal with Zoom is the symbol that we could communicate with our own higher, awareness without the need for technology, like physical technology,
Hmm.
which is what we're going to
Absolutely.
get into today, right, Beth, is how this spiritual component or intuitive quality that all of us are made with, right, as a human in the human form, how it's completely missing. Before we get into that, though, is there anything else you want to share about your journey, how you got into helping people? Was it just sort of do you still cut hair?
No, scissors were put down about 29, 30. Well, about 31 years ago now. Yeah. And you know how that happened? I was doing both for a while, and I literally pulled into the salon one day and my throat was literally closing. It was an, I know now to know it was an anxiety attack probably, but they didn't have the names like they do now.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking at the door and going, I don't want to go in there. And I was really building a nice little base, with my side work there. And all of us, I just, I literally just had a conversation with the universe, God, whoever said, I have great respect for all I've done in 20 something years as a hairdresser, but I think it's time. I will lay down my scissors. And I took the leap of faith. And when I said those words out loud, it went away. I mean, I tell people with anxiety, you have to be clear. You can move through this. Okay. Because I have. And that gets into our next topic. But yeah, it was like it went away. And I went, wow. And I went in, and one thing led to the next, and I surrendered and went in full time to the world of energy and spirit, really on purpose.
Yeah. Well, surrender is a big word. And I think many people are stuck, like you said, with anxiety and
Hmm.
depression and all the things they want to pathologize and categorize us with.
Hmm.
Um, you said surrender, but can you help anybody listening? Because people say that it's like, well, I hear this word, but I just don't know how. Like, what does that mean? And I know everybody does it differently, but you just said you surrendered to spirit.
Hmm.
So, what are some practical things that you would do to make that happen, like in a practical sense?
I think if you were looking like in my experience when that happened, it was almost like an awareness of knowing what I had to do and to move and let the fear go. And it was such a strong, emotional, secure feeling, though. It was time. And when I verbalized it, of course, I sent the intention that I'm going to. And, the rest is, well, now that's the frequency I'm in. And the rest just unfolded. So I learned through that if you just, take the time to, I think, be honest in your inner dialogue with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if writing helps you, jot things down, set these intentions. um it doesn't take long for things to manifest. I mean, things are like fire now, and it's interesting because the tarot, the wands are the passion and the desire, and, and also often affects career, anything you're passionate about. And when it's the element of fire, so it's going to move fast when you're in a wand energy, and your spiritual evolution is in your wands. So
Interesting.
that's throwing the tarot in. I love teaching tarot, by the way. I love
I
teaching.
can tell. Well,
Oh,
it
I
is
do.
interesting. And
Hmm.
can I ask this? Who started or where did tarot come from? Who creates the cards? Like, how did this all happen?
I had a deck that was so old once, and I believe I Googled it once. And I honestly, I'm going to Google it when we're done. And I remember Googling it and going, whoa, that's where it came from. I don't remember if it was Egyptian. It was something. And I was like, really like, whoa, like that's interesting. We're the first person starting. And, we're looking at elements, like, elements, and, it's always exciting to talk about because it really comes down to very natural things that are very tangible in the world, our breath, our air, our emotions, because that's what the tarot really, to me, suit element number is where you go when you want to start tuning in. Your suits will be in alignment with the elements of the earth, and that's what starts moving the energy for you to see what you need to see for yourself or for others who call upon you.
Well, that's interesting that it's really about the elements. I didn't even know that.
Hmm.
But why do you think then there's this probably purposeful, you know, categorization of that to be evil or, in the religious terms, they don't want you touching any of that.
Yeah, it's because it goes back to so long ago where even with, the, who would they call, when they talk about like the witches and the
Yeah.
Wicca,
Yeah.
they were using herbs and oils and elements to heal, and that scared the hierarchy. So now we're going to make that bad.
Right.
It really comes down to that simple, you know, and it isn't bad. It empowered people People healed, people felt empowered. They didn't want that. They wanted suppression. And it's funny how the world hasn't changed much, has it?
No, no. In
We won't
fact,
go
I'm not
there.
sure it ever really changes. It's sort of cyclical, does this
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time. And
I
kind of
agree.
seeing through it
Hmm.
is key.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, you're right. The powers that be, the profiteers that want to control everything will not let that happen. Then you're now at least we have things like this where we're, able to communicate and share and really do you still can do your own thing now. I mean, you have to work at
Yes.
it. You
Hmm.
absolutely it's you can get sucked into that pretty easily. But if you have
Hmm.
an open mind and you're a critical thinker and you have the wand, like you
Hmm.
mentioned, the
The
fire.
ones, my desires. And then there's frequency in your desires. You want to be in high frequency desire and recognize low frequency desire, which is, it becomes psychology. It really does. Spiritual psychology.
Yeah. It's funny. My daughter, who's in college, just called me the other day and she goes, Mom, I'm taking a spiritual psychology class. And
Oh,
this was music to my ears because she's always kind of rolled her eyes at me, about this topic. So,
hmm.
yeah, she said she's really enjoying it. So I was like, well, I'm glad to see they still offer
Look
that.
at it is so awesome that she's doing that. And apples are not going to fall far from the tree. You know what I mean? Yeah.
At
So,
least, oh, that's good to know. Well, let's get into this main topic then, as we're sitting here and talking about how spirituality seems to be completely missing. And when I think of spirituality, and you can share how you do, but it just seems to be this direct communication all the time with spirit in your life, no matter what you're doing.
hmm.
And that seems missing, right? Because everybody's
Hmm.
caught up in the distractions of the day to day. So I'm going to leave it over to you, Beth, and just explain what you think about the spirituality missing and even into the species as a whole.
Yeah. Such a passionate topic for me. And, that's exactly how I say the missing link, spirituality. And I think where we begin is really understanding a definition I've become very comfortable with about spirituality. And we're looking at frequencies. Okay, we're looking energy, vibration, frequency here again. Thank you, Mr. Tesla. And, our spirit is our eternal essence of our consciousness. Okay. It is also the highest frequency expression that we will be in as a human being. What is in the spiritual frequency? What qualities, what energy comes from that is, first of all, our intuition. Intuition is, yes, our, connection to a divine power, our higher power, the universe. And it's also a survival mechanism down here. And because intuition, it's a survival mechanism. You can't leave out that understanding, whether you want to let it be science, more traditional, in the somewhere in between, that's fine, but have it. And then, because what else is in there? So, first of all, your intuitive nature, your creative nature. What is your creative nature? That's how you're going to express yourself. That's how you're going to create abundance, keep a roof over your head sometime,
Yeah.
unless you're blessed not to have to do what you're passionate about to support yourself. Well, then that's another, that's out there, but not everybody's case.
No,
And
most
then
not.
it's your intuition, it's your creative energy, it's your how you communicate. Are you communicating in a higher way? All we got to do is turn the news on. Let's not do that right now. There's lack of kindness. There's lack of communication between people seeing things differently because people are communicating in a more tribal way, in a more fear-filled way, because that's our tribal energy. It has to survive. It has to, but if we communicate from the spirit, then we intuitively are aware. We are allowing, we allow that, agree to disagree kind of feeling. So you
Hmm.
have your intuition, your creativity, your communication, you have your coping skills in your spirit. Because that's going to give you the third eye view, the eye that sees beyond just the physical details. People go over and over their details, over and over their details. You're energizing them. If you're not doing some kind of little blessing or release or thank you for listening, letting that, let it go, you've just energized it all in that low frequency again. Well, back on the drawing board it goes. Now it's part of your formula to how you live your life.
Yeah.
Your spirit also intuitive, creative, your coping skills, how you communicate, your connectedness. That connection. We have it with animals. We have it with plants. I love talking. I've never been able to grow plants. I've been able to grow plants. And my husband cracks up because he says, "You're always talking to the plants." I go, "Yeah, look at them." What did I used to say? I kill everything. I don't say that anymore. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, it kind of does work, huh?" Yeah, it gets them, it hits them,
Now they're
but
thriving. Yeah.
they're thriving. I'm saving them. I don't know what's going, yeah, but I get it. And then I think I covered everything that I feel's in that nature. So
Yeah.
if we do not have those qualities, those components that we are expressing through our personality, the personality is definitely the lower frequency expression of our consciousness. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's the physical expression. That essence of who we are wants to express creatively, intuitively, compassionately, it wants to guide us and maneuver us through grief. That's where a lot of people, it's how I got to this understanding. Grief is the hardest emotion and experience you go through as a human being, but your spirit that is eternal will remind you, will be that little hand, that voice, and the connection to your own loved ones to help you through it.
Yeah.
So that's where, if that's missing, people struggle. That's mental wellness. Mental is mind. I love mental healing. I love mental health. Mental is mind, heal is in health. It changes the whole vibration. What's the first thing we do when we hear someone has mental health issues? We hear it all the time. Or I have mental health issue. I don't, but people say it. I'm like, here's me. Yeah, you have mind and you can heal.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can. Yeah, you can. But when you say it the other way, it's a drop in frequency. And that's what you resonate in.
And that's what they tell you. I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people who have been diagnosed, with something, there
Mm-hmm.
isn't really like, oh, you can be healed at least at the psychiatric level, right? It's just take the drugs, we'll work on it and you just do talk therapy over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over. But a lot of people don't come out of that with real healing.
No,
And
they
then there are
don't.
some great therapists. I'm not going to knock the whole industry
Yes,
because there's some
absolutely.
great
Total respect. Mm-hmm.
psychotherapists and amazing. But a lot of that has to do, like you said, with the belief of the person, the frequency of the person, and how willing and, like you said, they're using all these spiritual components to make
Mm-hmm.
it possible to heal. Like just the
Mm-hmm.
opening and the frequency, you're envisioning yourself healed almost
Mm-hmm.
before you do it,
Yeah. And being devoted to it. I tell a lot of people, I'm working on it. I'm trying. I'm like, okay, take a breath. Listen to who wants to keep working all the time on something? It's like a relationship. You got to work on your marriage for 20 years. You're probably not going to make it. You're tired, or 10 years or 2 years, whatever it is. Or if you got to work on being, successful, you get tired. Be devoted to it. You just change the whole vibration. Be devoted to a little spiritual connection in the morning when you're having your coffee, looking out. I don't care if it's raining, snowing, the ocean. I don't care what it is. Nature is the closest we feel our divinity or our higher energy. And you have to give, just like water, you have to have that. Yeah, every single day, not every second of the day, but every day.
Right. Every day. Yeah.
And it's devotion. It's a quiet moment. I tell people, look forward to sitting with a meditation, even if it's 5 minutes. Look forward to that quietness. Well, my kids, I go, then tell them to either sit outside the door as long as they're able to age-wise. Okay, I wouldn't just put my 2-year-old outside the door. But, well, I don't have a 2-year-old anymore, but I used to meditate with him. I mean, I used to put it on and he'd be playing with blocks or something, listening. And next thing I know, he's repeating I am or something. It's like,
It's rubbing off. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. the treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
This episode is brought to you by Cologuard. Do you know what's really scary? Not screening for colon cancer when you turn 45. The Cologuard test is non-invasive, requires no special prep or time off work, and ships right to your door. In just 3 simple steps, Cologuard takes the scare out of colon cancer screening. If you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about the Cologuard test. Cologuard is available by prescription only. Learn more or request a prescription today at Cologuard.com/screen.
There's always ways to incorporate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So part of the missing link then, Beth, would be that why are we so disconnected? Like, why are we so cut off? It seems like society as a whole, I mean, we're not being taught like at school. I mean, I had 4 kids and no one at school is talking about anything like that, right? That's not part of the curriculum unless you have somebody at home to teach them that. That's not being taught. And even religious people who go to church, well, you just sit there. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I went in and sat in the church. It didn't really teach me how to have a direct, like you said, connectedness to spirit. That is missing. And it seems like the more people that do have the connectedness, like you said earlier, the fear of that people are empowered, they're no longer going to depend on the authority system.
It comes down to that. And, you're right. I was blessed and this was probably now, I don't know. Well, it was pre-COVID, 4 years pre-COVID, 4 years pre-COVID. And I worked with a principal of a school for a couple meditation sessions to get him in a little practice, right?
Yeah. For
personal reasons. Well, he said, I want you in the school. And I go, well, I have a very busy private practice. Thank you. But I go there all the time. Teachers call me, coaches call me. I come in and do a little stress release for the kids he goes, no, I really do want you in here. Let me see tell me what you can give me and let me see what I can do. I gave him 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. Okay. He let me design, if you will, decorate a meditation room. I had the colors. I had the oils diffusing because I couldn't do candles. I had high frequency music playing. I had Om symbol and mantras around the room. These kids, for 4 years, I had this room. To this day, I will still have kids if I go home to visit. Mrs. Lynch, I still meditate. Mrs. Lynch, they're well in their 20s now. But this room was life-changing for so many. I had one girl say to me once, well, what's that symbol mean? Because and she looked at it, was the Om. And I go, well, that's the Om. And it's like a union of you and your higher power, God, the universe. And she goes, well, I told my grandmother that I was meditating. And she said, that's evil. You can't do that. And I said, well, how come I feel God in me, Grandma, when I'm in the room? Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Right.
Yeah.
And to this day, I know this girl. I've seen her when I go back to visit, and she'll be still doing it.
That's so amazing. What a great story, because I wish my kids would have had that at school too,
And he got a grant to take care of the time I was there. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So the grants are out there, call it the mindful room, call it have a name. I said to him, you want to call it a mindfulness room instead? He goes, no, we're calling it a meditation room. I don't care. And I mean, teachers would bring, the class in. If I could fit 15, classes are smaller. There would be a teacher say, can I reserve the room and bring my whole class in? Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. I'll never forget my football player. He was my favorite. I was sitting in a chair and he came in. It had already started, but I said, it's okay. Just lay down the yoga mats we had, and the music's playing. So I start guiding the breath and just bring him into a little visualization or something. He was in there about 15 minutes, and he didn't look happy when he walked in. I could tell someone made him come down to the room. And, but he got up afterwards. He looked right down at me. He was 6 foot. He was a football player. And he goes, Mrs. Lynch, where'd my anger go?
Oh, that's awesome.
And I said, well, and I gave him a little crash course on understanding anger as a frequency. Quick crash course, right? And he goes, why aren't they teaching us this in school? I go, good question. Next day he came in with 6 football players for the
I was going to say.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, it's crazy. The kids need it. They deserve it.
Well, they do because especially today, man, they're getting bombarded with,
Yeah.
all the social media and all the different things happening at school. It's some of the things my kids come home and tell me. I still have two that are in high school and they're
Hmm.
juniors, and I'm like, what is going on? And they don't have tools, right?
And there's a lot of not kindness in schools,
Oh,
you know?
always. Yeah.
And that's so sad because I remember one girl said once at the end, everybody had left. She goes, that girl that came in, we don't get along. We fight. We talked today at the end. I think we're going to be friends. I go, yeah, because all that personality stuff got pushed up in a higher frequency and you saw each other's spirit. You saw each other's soul.
Yeah.
That's an immediate reaction.
Right. Well, and then you have the compassion and empathy component that comes in, that even if
Hmm.
you don't agree on everything, that's not the point. The point is that you have a mutual respect and understanding of someone else. We
Yeah.
don't have to be on the same page about everything. It's human life. We're not going
We're
to
not
be.
going to be. It's a human nature. You're right. It's human nature. And with all of that missing in a daily, whether we call it a ritual or, connection or journaling or the end of the day, journaling something. I know people, I'm not the best journaler in here. I created a book to journal, but it's funny when I made myself go through it, it was funny what came up for me. And I went, oh. I
Well,
wouldn't have
maybe I
known
should
that
do
was
the
going to
journal.
peek through. Yeah, I better finish this now. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. It's always humbling, but our spirit is where we're getting our that energy, to be a better human, to be able to follow our dreams, to create the life you deserve. How your relationships, how are you relating to yourself? How are you treating yourself in your inner dialogue is running the show. And how you're going to look at everybody else. So that's where you do start within. You'll see it, like that girl talking about the girl that sat laid next to her in the meditation room. They didn't have a choice. That's where they were had to go. And we talked. I
Yeah.
think we're going to be friends. I'm like,
It's like a miracle happened in the room.
yeah. And for 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, that is. It's like
There's a lot of drama. Yeah. With the kids. That's for sure.
it's amazing to watch the miracles unfold in some of the, these experiences I feel I've had, not only for myself, I practice what I preach, but for others and in, when people come to me, they're coming in grief. They're not coming because they're happy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're grieving something. Okay. And to watch the transformation in just 1 hour happen and them say, I feel lighter. I feel peace. I go because low frequency energy is heavy. It's heavy in here.
It's
It's
so
heavy in
heavy.
here. It's so heavy. So when you raise your frequency up, whether it's talking to mom, dad, or children, I deal with a lot of people losing children. I go, you got into that vibration with them. I just created the space.
Yeah.
You gave that connect, you allowed the connection. Of course, you feel lighter. Now, this is how you can keep it light and allow the hard moments, allow them, allow them. You
Well,
have,
you have to.
yeah.
Well, that's part of the whole process of being human is this balance of dark light. You're going to feel
Hmm.
heaviness, but the service that you provide is got to be very, amazing for you to just be able to help and uplift people in their lives, especially
Hmm.
like you said with grief. That's a tough emotion to go through. I've had
Hmm.
many people on the show that help people with grief, and it's like, yeah, you guys are a special breed for sure.
Oh, well, so are you. And you got to look at grief as a frequency. Grief is a very the lowest of frequencies. Addiction's a frequency. Fear is a frequency. But so is happiness. So is, powerful, positive thinking, is a frequency. What frequency are you in? Look in the mirror and ask yourself. Sometimes you just got to be that honest and don't think that it takes months and years to transform things. It doesn't. The months and years will get easier if you're devoted to some kind of honoring the spirit and the self. That's, the spirit, your higher qualities, your eternal essence, what's going to continue, and then yourself, your personality. How are you expressing here? So when you allow the spirit and self to become friends, you're now resonating in that, and how you relate to everything is going to be affected.
100%. I agree with you.
So when that's
Absolutely.
missing, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, and you see the constant chaos around the world. I mean, it's always happening, right? There's ebbs and
Hmm.
flows of it, but it really does start from in the individual, right?
Hmm.
It's like expecting other people to suddenly, go along and understand this without actually doing it personally it would be a temporary band-aid. And how do you get more people to start individually to really feel it and then help other people through it?
And a lot of people are forced into it through grief. And, we're seeing, you just kind of opened the door for, the group collective consciousness that are, angry, or, whether we're talking, there was a day you just used to reference like maybe even gang energy. What are they doing? They're looking for family. They're looking for a place to belong. All they know is survival, and they have to do low frequency things to survive. And so now group consciousness comes together and it finds each other, and, it gets bigger. And now with technology, but I remember right after 9/11 asking how God, the universe, whoever's going to listen to me up there, um, why are we here again? Like, we were going to war. So we were going in at that point. And I remember thinking, well, we got to do something, but I don't know. I don't have a better idea. I'm not saying I do, but why are we here again as a species? I actually said that. And the next day I was washing my dishes, not thinking the heavy thinking thoughts that I was having, and washing my dishes, just minding my own business. And I get this feeling. It's almost like a gray light, or gray, I mean, gold, like light of hush. Whoo. And then I'm like, I go like that, and I'll hear, and I heard, you have evolved as a species technically, but not spiritually. You are now in the consequence. And I went, oh, those aren't my words. And then I heard, this is not a punishment, it is a consequence. And I remember going, whoa, what I asked yesterday. And then I heard, well, then I said in all my, I don't really like that, but I guess
I
I
was
got to
gonna,
accept it because I can feel what you mean. And then I heard, that is what Earth is for.
yeah,
And I went, yeah.
that's what this world is. And I think for some of us that do feel that spiritual connection so much, it's part of our daily life. Sometimes it gets hard to remember that, not everybody is there. Not everyone
Mhm.
feels that yet. And to just remember, even though they don't, like we all are still the same underneath this, whatever's going on in the world, whatever we're experiencing. And that's a deeper level, I think, of spirituality in general, right? Because
Mhm.
when you see things you don't like, right? We don't like
I
personalities.
like that.
I don't like what's happening. You said I have a consequence. I don't like it.
Mhm.
We don't like it. But then that's where we have to connect to spirit and ask for that guidance to show us the way, I think is.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people say, they're worried about maybe a grandparent passing away, and they'll say, well, ask my grandfather if my grandmother's going to be okay. I go, I ask them that. They're going to say, yeah, she's going to be fine. I'm going to meet her tomorrow. Greet her, bring her in. I
Yeah,
go, you got
yeah.
to be careful what you say to spirit, okay? And, but that's oh, I never thought of it that way, and then I will obviously be tuned in and answer it in a more reverent way, I guess, if you will. But spirit loves humor. If you have a person come in who was funny, uh on Earth, they're going to be funny in the session. They're not going to come in all serious. And odds are somebody serious might come in a little more relaxed, but they're not going to come in like the class clown. So the personalities are very powerful. And I,
Yeah.
I love that about spirit. It taught me, I am a funny talker. I see a lot of humor in things. And I had these young kids ask me not long ago. We were watching a band and it was, pretty alternative rock music. And I was getting into it. And these young kids were there. They were definitely 20 or well, 21, 22. And they go, wow, you're having so much fun. And I knew the undertone was because I'm a little older than them. How, and then one of them asked me how old I was. So I told them I'm 66. And they go, what? And I go, how do you look young? I go, I keep dancing and laughing and meditating. And they go, oh my God, that's what we got to do. And I laugh, but they're young. They want it. They want to know how to be, and they just are so, I love my 20 somethings. I so love my 20 somethings. I really do. I got a soft spot.
And for any of you listening who cannot, you're not going to be able to see this because I do have it on YouTube for anybody who wants to look at Beth, but she does look very young. I'm going
Oh.
to.
I haven't had any help yet. Not that I'm opposed to it, but I haven't had any help. Well, listen, meditation to me is the fountain of youth. Honestly, meditation slows down the nervous system, which gives the organs an opportunity to relax, keeps your immune system up. Well, what happens when everything can relax? Your body ages, not your spirit.
Yeah.
I do feel it's the fountain of youth. 30 years I've been meditating.
You can tell, it's interesting when you see people out in the world, and I don't know how you experience this, but you walk around if you're going into a store or an airport, and I love to do this thing with my family. I'll be like, who looks the most vibrant in the world? Like, we'll just play this little game.
Uh-huh. Oh,
and
like that.
I'm always like, there's hardly anybody. And most people walk around and they look, heaviness, and you can just see the baggage, and who knows the stories everybody has. But it's almost like, and then every now and then there'll be like a Beth walking by, somebody that you just see the twinkle and yeah, you can tell. And it is an energy, it's an energy. And for all the health and wellness people out there who's striving for physical health, right? Perfect physical health. I do think there's more to it than that. And lifting your vibration does show the youth that people have, the spiritual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so true.
It is.
Like that kid said, why aren't they teaching us this in school? I had a lot of the kids say that to me. Why don't they teach? I go, well, listen, I'm here. And then COVID hit and they wouldn't let them come into the room. It fit about 15 or 17 kids and they closed the room. Yeah. And then I moved away. I know some other people still volunteer, but the room itself, I heard, is a storage room. I'm going, oh God, are you kidding me? It was such a cool room.
Well, the school looks like a prison. At least most of the government schools look like prisons.
Oh, I always would tell them, okay, guys, get ready for the fluorescent lighting, take a breath, and they would walk out going,
Oh,
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yeah.
Those lights, they got to do something about that. I don't, they're not gonna, but
No, they're not. They're not going to do it. It's just about, more and more people on the outskirts, and there are people on the inside who are trying. But it really comes down to like how you're raising your kids at home and what can you instill in them, and even if they don't do it right now, because they're going to go through their teenage years where they don't care what you say. But eventually they might, when they're older, go, oh, I remember when you taught me this, mom and dad or whoever, It does come back.
My son does it. He's 26 now, and he still meditates. And he, like I said, he didn't have to go that way. You know what I mean? He could have gone the other way, but he does. He meditates. I'm just always, once in a while he'll text me like, "Hey, send me a meditation. I can't find mine. They're on my phone somewhere." And he's going to go to sleep, but at least he's falling asleep in that vibration, which means you wake up in that vibration, and then you do something first thing, whatever it is, and it's just, it's so natural. It's natural for us to want to.
Yeah. You start feeling good, you start feeling better, and you're smiling more and you're laughing. Like you said, it's humor comes in, and don't take things so seriously, because even in the hard things that happen in life, there is a way to move through them a little lighter. There always is, without taking it on.
Absolutely.
So now let's get into what you do. You have a lot of courses. You offer people help. You're a medium, so I know you do all that, but you also have a lot of books. So please tell us what books you've written. I know you've got Heart and Soul Fitness that you said is your most recent book. And tell us what they're about, where we can find them. And I know you just said you have the journal that you're doing.
Yes. Well, my latest book was Heart and Soul Fitness, Seeking Self, Spirit, and Success. It did go bestseller in Amazon on launch day. I was very excited about that.
That's exciting.
And but that is like based on, just what it says, connecting the heart and soul fitness and, for the self, the personality, the spirit, and success in your life, whatever that means to you, and encompasses everything. So that's based on like a little 2-week, a lot of mantras, some simple breathing. I never call it breath work. I call it breath awareness, because work sends that signal to some human minds like, nah, I don't want to work on that. I don't feel like working today. And then that has a journal that goes with it now. It's actually available for immediate download. It's Heart and Soul, A Journal to Love. And it just takes you through some reflections, some breath awareness, mantras, kind of an area where you can, well, type if you're doing it online, because it does download, like write these mantras out 4 or 5 times, breathe. And it reminds me of school, like, I did not mean to, we had to write it 20, 50 times, whatever. And I had flashbacks. But so that's a very simple journal to love to take yourself through. And then my one book, Life, Death, and In Between, Perspectives from the Other Side, is actually something, it's like 20 years of, 25 years of what spirit has taught me, talking a little bit about like the spiritual psychology of things, the science, but also what I said about spirituality and my definition, and also as a medium. I think mediums, we're mediators between what is spirit and what is physical. We're mediators between, into a higher frequency, lower, and how to incorporate it. It's what we're doing, creating that space, I feel, for the communication, which is a natural communication. I like people to feel when I'm done with them, they didn't need me, that I showed you how you can connect to your loved ones. Yourself, you should do that. You should be able to feel their spirit, their essence.
Yeah.
And so then those books, and then I have, correspondence course on there. I got a lot. They're all on my website, innerlightteaching.com, in the shop area. And they're all on there. And again, some are immediate downloads, and some I do personal awareness, like Heart and Soul Fitness, a personalized little program too. That's available. That you have to reach out to me. I don't think I have that on the website yet. I'm working on some details about it, but that's like just a little personalized program so you can, take yourself through things, get that connection, feel comfortable, let it be natural. And, all my things are about that. And I do a lot of if you go to my website, put your email in, and I only email maybe once a month, sometimes twice, you get 5 free downloads of meditations immediately. So you can start a nice there's 5-minute ones. And there's the tree, which is a beautiful grounding meditation and connecting. Yeah, there's all kinds of things on my website. Everything's on there.
Okay, so everybody listening, you can go to Inner Light Teaching. You can sign up for 5 free meditations right now if you're interested, especially those of you listening that struggle with meditation, like you need guidance to do it. It's a great thing to offer, Beth. And can I talk to you about one other thing real quick before we kind of wind down today? But the word mediumship, as you just said, and in my mind, and I know in most people's minds, it goes right to that the person connects to a spirit, like a loved one or somebody who's passed on. Is the term also used in the broader sense of just connecting to the higher frequency of spirit as one essence, as opposed to individual spirits? So do you use it?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering.
Absolutely. A lot of people that come to me, they know who they want to talk to, much like my experience. But sometimes there's people that say, I just kind of want to get some insight in my life. And if my mom comes in, that's fine. I'm good. I know she's there. So I do get that. And then intuitive kind of insight and, just helping. Yeah, absolutely. It's the source of that energy and frequency. And loved ones are there. The angels are there. They're all there.
They're all there.
Either that or I'm really crazy. Okay. I really got.
Well, we're all a little crazy, Beth.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a good crazy.
Yeah. We probably wouldn't be here if we weren't just a slightly nuts, but
yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, it's so great to talk to you, Beth. I think it's a good place to stop for the day. And I will link everything about you in the show notes so everybody get on and meet Beth and seek out her meditations if you're interested. Thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I enjoyed this so much. I really, truly did. Thank you.
That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at livelikeeden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.
Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? We can help. We have a podcast launch package that can help you go from 0 to your first episode in 60 days. We'll teach you how to start a podcast so you don't have to worry about anything except inspiring and helping others with your knowledge and expertise. Don't wait. Start your podcast today. Just email us at info@mindbodyspirit.fm.